Welcome to WrestleRecap. I am Dylan Graives, once again flying solo today as I am way behind on getting these recordings out. I was very busy this past week and unable to get them done at an appropriate time, as it is now Sunday, April 28th, and I am finally about to do the recap of NXT Spring Breakin. The show kicked off with the NXT Women's Championship match featuring Roxanne Perez defending against Lyra Valkyria and Tatum Paxley. The match kicked off with Lyra and Tatum just fighting each other while Roxanne chilled on the ropes and loved watching them tear each other apart. The match wrapped up with Tatum Paxley hitting a 450 splash on Lyra Valkyria, and then Roxanne Perez came in and rolled up Tatum Paxley to pick up the win and retain her title despite seemingly having been eliminated from the equation prior to that. Roxanne retains her title, therefore I feel like she won't be getting drafted, and her cameo on Raw was seemingly pointless, but all will be revealed tomorrow night. We then head back to the NXT Women's Locker Room, which is always a busy place, and Fallon Henley is talking to Thea Hale before Jada Parker inserts herself into the conversation, and her and Fallon Henley get into it, which leads to a match later in the night. We then see that the Creed brothers and Ivy Nile are in the house for the NXT Championship match. Everybody's given their predictions on who's going to win. Interesting that Ivy Nile is still hanging with the Creeds, as it seems that Chad Gable is going to split from Alpha Academy and have the Creed brothers join him. Meanwhile, Ivy Nile and Maxine Dupree are good friends, so kind of an odd situation. It'll be interesting to see how they work this into the story. Next up, it's time for the D'Angelo family versus the No Quarter Catch Crew. The fight breaks out before the bell, and they fight outside the ring. The No Quarter Catch Crew isolates Stax, but Tony D finally gets in and lays out all of the No Quarter Catch Crew. NQCC starts to fight back, but the family picks up the win off of a vicious Tony D spinebuster to Charlie Dempsey. Tony D tells them that they better pay. They know what happened to the other guy. Obviously referencing that storyline-wise, the family has killed Drew Gulak. We're then backstage where Baron Corbin is having pictures taken, and Lexus King comes up and gives him a going-away basket. He seemingly says that he would accept Corbin's offer of being a tag partner, even though Baron Corbin never made an offer. He also basically said that Baron Corbin is just latching himself onto people to stay relevant and ride coattails. Seeing as Baron Corbin did get drafted to SmackDown, it feels more and more like this was kind of a hint, like a wink-wink, nudge-nudge, that he was going to get drafted. However, it is unfortunate that they sent him to SmackDown and Braun Breaker to Raw. Missed opportunity for the Wolf Dogs. It's now time for Jada Parker versus Fallon Henley. Jada Parker just dominated this match from start to finish. There was hardly ever a shadow of a doubt that she was going to win. Fallon Henley struggled to get any offense in, and Jada Parker picked it up off of a teardrop hip check, my bad. JC Jane then calls out Thea Hale for next week, and Lola Vice does a promo vignette on her match with Natalya for week 2 of NXT Spring Breakin, which is next week. We then see that JD McDonough is there. He talks about how he had a feud with Ilya Dragunov, and he believes that Ilya will be picking up the win. The New Catch Republic is also there. They're split in who they think will win. It's then time for the NXT Underground contract signing. It's the first ever women's underground, or NXT Underground women's match, however it's worded. Natalya comes out with Carmen Petrovich in her corner. And last week, Lola Vice told Natalya that wait till she sees who's in her corner. As soon as she said that, I was automatically on the assumption that it was going to be Shayna Baszler, and Lola Vice came out by herself, and then eventually introduced her the person that would be in her corner. And I guessed correct. It was Shayna Baszler. I really hope that I put that in the last NXT recap, but I'm guessing I left it out because I don't remember actually verbally saying it. A brawl breaks out, and Carmen Petrovich just drops Shayna. Just one quick roundhouse to the head, and Shayna dropped like a sack of potatoes. In the end, Natalya and Carmen ended up standing tall due to one shot from Carmen dropping Shayna. We then see the Final Testament being talked about, how they'll be challenging for the NXT titles next week. It seems like they're locked in for NXT, though I'm not sure that anything will be actually made official. Right now, they're kind of floating between SmackDown and NXT. I think they need to just fully go back to NXT. The Good Brothers are there too, as in the men's locker room they're talking about how they're sick of main roster stars coming down to fight for their titles, and the Good Brothers show up and start saying, like, basically that they agree with them, and obviously it's just an ironic talking point because they are from the main roster, though I think they should have been going down to NXT just to help bolster the division a bit, but they ended up on SmackDown. Next, it was time for the Beach Brawl with Blair Davenport taking on Sol Ruca. It was a gimmick match. I didn't take a lot of notes on anything for this show because I originally wasn't going to. And then I started watching it and taking notes on it because I figured, what the hell. I'll keep recapping NXT for a little bit longer and see how it does before I just cut it out for a while. Sol Ruca ended up picking up the win off of a very... It was a soul snatcher, but like she springboarded off of the top rope kind of thing, but with a springboard handstand off the top rope into a soul snatcher. It was interesting. It was a neat little move, but very, very choreographed. We then see that Johnny Gargano is in the house as well for the championship match. Next, it was time for Baron Corbin versus Lexis King, which I don't remember if I mentioned that got made as a match after or following the exchange between them. Lexis King picks up the win off of a low blow and a coronation. We then see Damian Priest backstage where he tells Ilya good luck in his match. And it is finally time for the main event, the NXT Championship match. Trick Williams taking on the Tsar of NXT, the Mad Dragon, Ilya Dragunov. We need Booker out of commentary. He is just so annoying. I say this week after week, but every time that Trick Williams comes down to the ring, Booker just feels the need to open his mouth during the entrance, and it ruins it for anybody that's got to listen to Booker. Ilya started strong, but Trick fought back. Trick hit an H-bomb and a Torpedo Moscow. Trick put Ilya through the announce table. He kicked out of a superplex, followed by a H-bomb, and a H-bomb from the second rope. He also kicked out of the super H-bomb. Trick countered the Torpedo Moscow with a trick shot to win. So, like I said, real brief. I only hit the main things here. It was a good match for TV. A good match for NXT TV, I should say. Made Trick look very strong. And obviously, Ilya dropping the title just cements that he is going to end up on the main roster. Likely going to end up on whatever show that Gunther is on. And I would love to see that rivalry picked back up. Following the win, the ref had the title and was getting ready to hand it to Trick, but Ilya grabbed it out of the ref's hands, and it was just kind of like the ref and Trick both looked at him like, what are you doing, kind of thing. Ilya pulled himself up before handing the belt to Trick himself, and then embracing Trick with a hug, essentially passing the torch to Trick Williams, who is going to be the face of NXT moving forward. I think the future is bright for Trick. Obviously, it could be argued that there's nothing left for him to do in NXT either, but he needs more work. He has all the charisma necessary to succeed. He just doesn't have the skill to go with it yet. He is still an incredible performer, but he's just not quite there yet. So I think making him the face of NXT, especially with how popular he is, it's very smart. It'll be very effective in the long run. And getting him the extra time down in NXT is only going to do him all of good. Maybe next year in the 2025 draft, we're talking about Trick Williams being the big name to come out of NXT. But for now, he's going to hang around. He's going to lead. And he is going to be the NXT champion probably for a while. I don't think I can come up with anybody right now that's been built enough to challenge him unless Karrion Kross does it. But that concludes the NXT Spring Breakin Night 1 recap. As I said, I've been Dylan Graives. This has been the WrestleRecap NXT recap. If you want to support WrestleRecap, you can like, share, and subscribe. You can comment down below and tell me how poor I'm doing at this. Comment anything. Just keep it appropriate. Until next time, goodbye.